What is good, everyone? Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure your man doesn't carve his pants pumpkins when he's grooming, if you know what I mean. Make sure he's keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th edition performance package. Ladies, do we really want to cuddle up with a dude who isn't trimmed? I know I don't. My man's keeping it tight. Get him to take the leap into fall with Manscaped. Help him join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LABELFREE20. Again, go to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemp of Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. I have a very interesting, dynamic, kind of off the cuff guest than I usually have. He is an investigative journalist that has dedicated 21 years of his life exposing the forced organ harvesting of the Falun Gong spiritual movement in China. This is going to be a little bit more graphic conversation than usual. So if you don't like that, you don't want to hear about it, go ahead and just tune into the next one when I release it. But I think it's very important to hear these stories and to share them. It is kind of living label free, where he's not putting a label on it, but he's trying to expose something that is very bad that's happening across the world. Please welcome Nicholas Gerber. Mitchell, thank you for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Well, thanks, Deanna. You have courage to have me on, let me tell you, because most places I'm banned and have a couple of spies looking after me. Yes, banned.
Oh,
because
wow.
what we're about to get into is something so evil, and it's a new form of evil that hasn't been revealed on this planet pretty much since the 1940s Holocaust, where my family were killed and slaughtered, and those who got out relocated and fled to South Africa, where I was born. Then I moved to America in 1995, became the first of my family to become an American citizen in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And
ATL.
yeah, ATL, the dirty South.
Yeah, the dirty South.
Then I went to the University of Georgia. My father spent a lot of money. He was doing very well in export and import, and I was about to intern at a very prestigious investment firm. But one day on May 4th, 2001, May the 4th be with you, right? It starts, as probably Luke Skywalker would say. Yeah. I came across a human rights festival, an arts and crafts festival. My body was sore. I was dealing with a lot of people, leading different clubs. And I was just very tired, very stressed out, drinking a lot, smoking a lot. And I wanted some relief. And so I was at this human rights festival, and I saw a group of people practicing some exercises that were very similar to yoga and Tai Chi. I went up, and that's when my whole story got started.
Okay. Wow, that's great. So 21 years to be watching something. Well, why don't you explain to us what the forced organ harvesting, what is that, and what are they doing to people?
Absolutely. I would love to share my screen with you, because I think vividly people will be very intrigued. But those who are also listening, before I do, I've always loved yoga. I've always loved human rights. I believe everyone has the choice to decide what they want to do in their lives, and no one should be forced. And whether I like it or not, you can offend me, I can offend you, and we can all coexist. We're human beings. We bleed the same blood. We breathe the same air, and we can just have differing of opinions, but we can coexist. But when people start to force and mandate and hurt and harm and take away people's rights and privacies and freedoms, that's when I get involved. So I got involved as long as I could have walked on this earth. I mean, I was distributing food to the homeless when I was very young. I was at a very young age. I was a leader in funding human rights projects and helping people with food and et cetera. Anyway, so that's what got me started, because I believe you have to follow your heart to expose something evil, but you also have to really have the guts, the courage, and the tenacity to move forward in it, because it's an incredibly lonely and hard path to live. Because many people think it's extremely heavy. But how I got involved, Deanna, was, again, I was at this human rights fair. I saw these Chinese people practicing these exercises, and I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting, cool. Yeah. I went up. They started to teach me these exercises, these slow-moving exercises that were really good for the body. Sure. And I went up to the desk, and I was like, Falun Gong. Falun Gong, okay, for spiritual movement. Is this a religion? Is this a cult? Is this something extreme? And I was like, no, just let me show you the exercises. And I went and I practiced, and I was like, holy shit. Excuse my language. I don't know if I can
It's
swear
okay.
on your
No worries. You can swear.
man, I feel like $1,000,000. I couldn't believe how well I was feeling. Like all this energy of angst, this anxiousness, this feeling of just congestion just released.
Yeah.
And I could feel like the energy channels off my spine were like boom, 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 like just opening. I was like, wow, this is some good shit. I love this stuff. I want to get some more. I was heavy into working out, and they were like, okay, let's go to the table. And I was very blissed out. I felt great. I felt comfortable after the 5 exercises of the spiritual movement. And then, to my horror and my uncomfortableness that made me very cringed, I saw these torture methods. And I was like, what the hell are these things? Tortured for your beliefs. And I saw these vivid pictures of people being tortured and professors. And I was like, okay, I just came through a blissed out type of yoga session to this. So when I realized that these people, the Falun Gong, which I'm about to share with you, guys, and Deanna, thank you for having me, by the way, are being sent to state-mandated hospitals, cut open while alive by the Chinese military and the Chinese government, the highest-ranking officials of the Chinese Communist Party that controls the Chinese government. Their organs then cut open and sold for millions of dollars, fueling a multi-billion-dollar business in China and all around the world, and then their bodies are cremated. So I know that it was very heavy. I know that was a lot to stomach. So let's just...
Well, really quick before you start, and I think that actually what you're talking about is very relevant considering what we're going through today in today's world with the pandemic and everything, where we're basically, there's a form of our, our basic human right of choice is looks like it's being taken away. Correct. And, there are some people that are so pro the VAX, and so people that, people on my side, they're pro-choice, and, I look at it like this is a very scary time because it's not just about the VAX, it's about our choice to, that's what it's really about. That's how I feel. And so what you're going to share with us is a more extreme level of our human rights being taken away.
Amazing. Amazing. Exactly. So allow me to share, Deanna. I'll share with you just briefly. Let's see, where's my screen? Here we go. This is what Falun Dafa is, everybody. It's a slow-moving exercise, or Falun Gong. Falun Dafa or Falun Gong, it's the same practice, just a different name. These are just the slow-moving exercises. This is the simple meditation. Very just natural, very similar to Qigong, Tai Chi in China. That's the second exercise. And it became the largest spiritual movement in China.
Okay.
Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, is an advanced self-cultivation practice.
These people
that improves mental and physical wellness through physical exercises and the development of one's character. In China, cultivation practices have a history of thousands of years and form the spiritual foundation of Chinese civilization. In 1992, Falun Dafa was introduced to the public by Master Li Hongzhi.
That's the teacher.
The practice quickly spread because of its profound principles and proven health benefits. By 1999, with over 100 million practitioners.
100 million practitioners, Deanna. In China, 1 out of every 12 national Chinese citizens were practicing. And before I play the second clip, because it's a journey, I'd love to take your listeners and audience on a journey, if you would allow me. 1 out of every 12 Chinese national citizens were practicing Falun Gong at that time. Mr. Li, who has been nominated for 5 Nobel Peace Prizes, a very honorable gentleman who started this practice, the founder, he taught it to 200 people, and then over 100 million people, or by 1998, government estimates between 70 and 100 million people were practicing this mind and body practice, the slow-moving mind and body practice, spiritual movement, as you can call it. And then the Chinese Communist Party member or leader at that time got very jealous that he couldn't control the hearts and the minds of so many people. It outnumbered the number of people registered in the Chinese Communist Party by 30 million people. The stark contrast of ideology, that where Falun Gong, like Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, yoga, teaches to be truthful, to be compassionate, and to be tolerant. The ideology of the Communist Party is to kill, is to destroy, is to hurt, is to harm. They grew very jealous of this massive threat and started to outlaw them, persecute them. And in this award-winning documentary clip, and I'll share with you right now, Hard to Believe, you'll see what the Chinese Communist Party is actually doing to these people, not to mention the Uyghur Muslims, the House Christians, and the Tibetan Buddhists. So here we go. This is The World Needs to Know from the award-winning documentary Hard to Believe.
One of the worst crimes in history began taking place in hospitals throughout the country as organ transplants suddenly began to skyrocket.
We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true.
I began conducting comprehensive interviews with medical professionals, Chinese law enforcement personnel, and over 50 refugees from the Laogai system. But I estimate that 65,000 Falun Gong were murdered for their organs from 2000 to 2008.
Essentially what organ harvesting means is they're taking Falun Gong practitioners literally like cattle, holding them in prison camps, testing their blood and other vital organs, and when someone comes into the country that needs a heart, a liver, a kidney, they find a match, they take the Falun Gong practitioner, extract their organs, of course killing them in the process.
People who are expecting this to sort of just be solved naturally by all we have to do is sit back and they'll fix it, this is wrong. The West has to take a role. And the one role the West can do is say, these are our values. We cannot go beyond this. There are certain lines we can't cross. This is a red line. That's an absolute red line.
Enver Tohti, the surgeon turned bus driver, says it's been 20 years since he removed the organs from that live prisoner. It remains a mystery why so few people have ever heard about the thing he says he cannot forget.
This is my experience. This is a real, true story. If you keep silence, this tragedy will continue. And people, they just don't want to touch this evil. Because if you touch this evil, maybe at the end of the day, you may not be able to tackle this and the consequences. That is my guess.
That's pretty intense. And yeah, I mean, I've never heard of this before. They don't talk about it. They don't share it. You know, God forbid that, you know, we would be knowledgeable, know what's going on over there. And you're not like, I don't know if we could really do anything at this point, but that's very disturbing.
Absolutely. Well, awareness and discernment, Deanna, what you've allowed me to have today, the time just to share with you and your listeners and your viewers, and it's hard to fathom, but imagine it was you and your families. It's really not important until it is in the interest of others or of that person, you know. And there's a very interesting quote that I drew, wanted to share with you. I believe I have it here. That they first came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, the Catholics, the Christians, the blacks, the whites, the Muslims, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a Jew, a Muslim, a Catholic, or Christian. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I'm of the Jewish faith, you know, and I have no traditional connections to China. Yes, my wife is Vietnamese. I am on the front lines of Vietnam, by the way, risking my life to expose this evil, about 200 miles from the Chinese border, because I like to walk the walk, and I like a little bit of a taste of danger once in a while in my life. That's how I roll, you know. But I just think it's very important to fail to support what is good and to fail to expose what is evil is unacceptable. So I think it's a duty of every human being to really at least pay attention and be aware. Yeah. That's all we can do.
So basically, they're taking people that believe in the spiritual movement and
Yes.
using them to harvest organs.
Yes, if I may, I can share another clip with you.
Yes, sure, please do.
Absolutely. They're harvesting, there's about 2 to 3,000 state-mandated hospitals, over 252 concentration camps, and over 36 death camps in China, manned and controlled by the Chinese military and the highest ranking officials of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, people who don't know about the CCP, Deanna, it's a reign of terror. It has controlled China, the Chinese people, and the Chinese government, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. They are the CCP virus, and then we don't even get started into them. Their technology is in the actual VACCINE, the jab, okay? Don't even get me started where it's from and where it's main, Wuhan. So it's all related.
It is all related. I don't have to do a bunch of research to kind of have common sense and put it all together. Like, I'm sorry, common sense is not common. I've never realized how stupid people were until the last year and a half. Like, just so stupid. Like, oh my God.
And fearful. Their stupidity is consumed in their fear.
Correct.
And then the fear is weaponized by the powers that be that want this whole chaos.
Yes.
It's insane. They're so. Have you ever met a sociopath? I'm sure you've met a sociopath, a psychopath in your life. They are diabolical geniuses.
Yeah.
Bent on destruction for their own narcissistic selves.
Hey guys, Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Support for Label Free Podcast is brought to you by Impression Derma, who has experienced increased exposure to HEV light over the last year and a half. I know I have. If you don't know what HEV light is, let me educate you. HEV light is emitted from your phone, tablet, and computer that penetrates deep into the skin, which can lead to wrinkles and increased harm, leaving permanent damage. I have found a solution that protects you from those harmful lights. Let me introduce you to Impression Derma Let's Face It. This product will increase collagen, promote hydration, improve elasticity, halt premature aging, and shield against those free radicals, all by using these key ingredients: algae, buriti oil, bamboo extract, raspberry seed oil, bloom light, plus many others that are sustainably sourced and produced as well as ethically traded. Please head to impressionderma.com and use code labelfree20 for 20% off. Again, please head to impressionderma.com and use code labelfree20 for 20% off.
So yeah, Deanna, let me share with you and your audience the next clip that I've brought for you from Hard to Believe documentary, and it's an award-winning documentary. I'll share the website after, but those who are just listening, you can go to www.hardtobelievemovie.com, hardtobelievemovie.com, and here's the next clip. Enjoy. And for those who are listening, you can also listen in good.
By 2000, Falun Gong practitioners were disappearing into labor camps in mass numbers. At the same time, Chinese hospitals began promoting their organ transplant expertise.
I'm David Matus, and with me is David Kilgore. We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. David Kilgore is a former member of Parliament and former cabinet minister for Asia Pacific, and I'm a Winnipeg lawyer doing immigration, refugee, and international human rights law in Winnipeg. And we have now done our investigation, and we're producing this report. And I didn't know whether it was true or not, and so my task initially was to try to figure out a way of approaching the issue so that I could either prove it or disprove it and not just walk away and say, I don't know.
The number of executions in China varied widely depending on who was counting. But Matus says no matter which number he used, the number of executions and the number of organs didn't add up.
The transplant volumes increased substantially after the persecution of Falun Gong began. And I mean, there's a lot of other evidence, but the most likely explanation for the increase is the Falun Gong. We pursued every investigative trail we could find. In the report, you will see that there are 18 different avenues of proof and disproof we considered and evaluated. Our bottom line conclusion after considering everything as best we could was that the allegations are true. We believe them to be true, that this harvesting is indeed happening.
Matus says what made Falun...
Now, before I continue, Deanna, those two gentlemen, and I just want to share these two gentlemen right here, David Kilgore and David Mattis, are the two esquires that confirmed the forced live organ harvesting genocide. Now, this is a new form of evil because of how it is set up.
Right.
And these two gentlemen confirmed the allegations are true. 18 pieces of evidence, and then the bald-headed guy, Ethan Gutman, standing by London Bridge, he confirmed as well that there are at least 52 pieces of evidence. But let's continue. And
are they still alive?
They're still alive in Canada, yes. And what's extraordinary about this clip, these are the Falun Gong, and I'll continue from here, but there is a tape recording of a doctor, this is part of the evidence, where the investigators would call in pretending to be rich foreign buyers wanting fresh Falun Gong organs, and the doctors are like, yeah, no problem, we got fresh organs. At least 17 conversations, telephone conversations, taped in over 12 different hospitals with presidents, military directors, doctors. Unbelievable. But let me play the clip.
Especially attractive was the practitioner's healthy lifestyle. They do not drink or smoke. On many of the recordings of phone calls made to more than 100 Chinese hospitals, doctors assure callers that transplant organs are from healthy Falun Gong practitioners.
So basically, they would just pick them out like if you go into a grotesque market or grotesque restaurant, and they just take you out of the tank and they cut you open. Very similar to the wet markets here in Vietnam. I don't know if you've been to Southeast Asia, but you pick out a lobster and you pick out whatever, squid, and they just cut it and fry it right in front of you. The same is going on in China against the Falun Gong, the Uyghur Muslims, the house Christians, and the Tibetans. But the Falun Gong haven't been mentioned because 95% of the organ trade are coming from them. And this is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah, for sure.
And, anyway, yeah.
That is very disturbing. So how can people support your initiative on what can we do to help you get the word out there, and just how can we make an impact?
If I can share with you a couple of sites, maybe people can learn, because awareness and discernment is very important.
Sure.
Let me see. Here we go. This is what you can do. You can go to faluninfo.net. Can you see it, Deanna?
Yes,
all good?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. faluninfo.net. This is where you can take action after reading about the horrific persecution people face. What can you do? You can join a non-profit organization called Friends of Falun Gong. You can be a digital warrior, meaning, for me, if there are professors watching, or particularly teachers, you can share this with your class. You can go to Hard to Believe, and I'll share with Hard to Believe movie. Hopefully, we can. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Oh, it's not working. I'm not sure why it ain't working. Oh, here we go. Hard to Believe, and you can watch the full documentary of what I was just sharing with you here for free, as well as other documentaries to just bring awareness. Now, for those who are diehard skeptics and want the truth, the whole truth, and will not, just believe in just right off the cuff on face value,
right?
The Coalition Roundtable comprises all the investigators and Miss World Canada. And before I leave the interview, I'd love to share with you, I think you're going to get a kick out of this. Her documentary is Badass Beauty Queen. But anyway, endtransplantabuse.org, endtransplantabuse.org, and you can share with your listeners and your viewers, Deanna, all the links I've shared with you.
Yeah.
But all the investigator reports are here, and there's beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, that this is going on,
right.
And you can actually watch the series right here as well. So I think start with that, and yeah, that's
wow.
And not to mention, learn the exercises. Contact, go to faluninfo.net, and if you'd like to learn about the exercises, if you're stressed out or feeling anxious and uncertain because we're living in some very stressful times,
Yeah.
check out the exercises. They are free and they're really cool.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all of this, Mitchell. This has been a very informative, a little disturbing, absolutely. But I think
Sure.
now it's very important to be aware of what's going on around you and to be involved in important initiatives like bringing awareness to it. So I'm like, wow, we never hear about stuff like that. Just like the human trafficking, though, people don't believe it because they don't talk about it, and it's just something that they just keep the powers that be just sweep under the rug, and just and there's no accountability. I feel like it's so disturbing. I'm gonna use that word a lot because it is so disturbing how there's these things happening in the world, and there's groups of people that know about it and spreading the truth and bringing awareness, but yet nothing is done to stop it. Because these people are these elite or what have you are so powerful. And you're talking about initiate Operation D, which, yeah, I do believe that they are trying to depopulate the world a little bit. I do believe that. So it's pretty wild. So I don't, thank you very much for sharing all this with us. And, we'll have to have you back. Hopefully you'll have a positive update for us next time.
Absolutely. Before I leave, may I share one more from Anastasia Lynn? One more clip.
Sure.
Anastasia Lynn is the Miss World 2017 and 2018, I believe. And anyway, what incredible pioneer in human rights. But here, this is what she shared. She's a Falun Gong practitioner, and she was denied entrance into the beauty world, Miss World in China. And yeah, let me share this with you. So she uses her crown to spread awareness.
Good for her.
Definitely. Let me just share where this is. Is this what it is? Here we go. Okay. Can you see it?
No, cannot see anything.
Okay, let me see if I can do this. Here we go. All right. Perfect. Here we go.
If you tell me 2 years ago I'm going to be facing the situation I'm facing, I wouldn't believe it. It sounds like a movie.
I should use my liberty to advocate for theirs.
The university student, actress, and human rights activist, Chinese-born Anastasia Lin, is taking on yet another challenge.
Millions have been imprisoned, tortured, and sexually assaulted.
Her father was receiving threats as a result of her outspokenness against human rights abuses in China.
Wow.
It is possible to stand against tyranny.
One second, I'm going to take off my braces. China's #1 public enemy still have braces.
She was convinced that she was going to get to go to China and that she was going to have this platform to speak directly to the Chinese people. She finds out that the pageant has been relocated to Sanya, China.
I had to choose between silence and my hope for a better China.
The plan was to pose as a tourist with the camera around my neck, hit record to capture whatever I could.
China does not recognize a second passport. She crosses the border, she is Chinese property.
那么中共肯定是不喜欢这个。I would like to ask India to press for answers.
The more visible a target she may become, ironically, the more protected she would become.
There's one contestant missing from the event.
This looked like a colossal mess.
What is China doing on the Human Rights Council in UN?
My platform, speaking out for freedom of thought in China, was what got me here. And I need to live up to it.
She's going right into the eye of the hurricane.
Her own life is at risk.
You don't need to be Miss World to be able to have the world hear you.
I just thought we'll just end it off with the flavor.
Badass
Anastasia.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Mitchell. It was an absolute pleasure. Just keep us informed on any new things that you've got that you'd want to share with the audience. I always like to ask my guests to leave any last words of wisdom or advice. So do you have any lasting words you'd like to leave?
Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it. Believe in yourself. Believe in the Creator. Believe in people. And no matter what, just do the right thing.
Amen to that. I love it. Thank you so much for being a guest today, Mitchell. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.